How did the lead up to the solo show go? Was it pretty stress-filled by the end?
It happened really quick because I knew like in a month's advance that I was going to do it. But I'm sitting on a ton of work too. So I had enough to...
You agreed to the show a month in advance? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of... rushed, and I made a book and everything, and I tried doing all the marketing and newsletters and everything.
I know.
That is ridiculous.
It was intense.
That's
and
impressive.
I had a vacation
really
in it too, a 2-week
right,
vacation in Florida. And I was
so you had a month advance and you took 2 weeks off? And you made a book?
Yeah.
Stop showing off.
Welcome to Waiting to Dry, the premier art podcast for tomfoolery and just plain old talking shit.
What's that intro from?
I'll tell you in a bit. You'll figure it out.
For some reason, I thought of, what's the Arsenio Hall guy?
Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall show.
What's the Arsenio Hall guy's name?
Perhaps Arsenio Hall.
That actually wasn't the most awkward. That's probably the least awkward intro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because usually Sergio, he has this weird, he's like, all right, we all ready? Okay, here we go. All right. That 3-second gap felt like 5 minutes.
We're definitely leaving this part of it in.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, my name is Sergio Lopez.
I'm Josh Lawyer.
And we have Heather in Martin on the show today.
Is that what the intro
That's
was?
what it was. That's why I didn't want to say it yet.
Okay.
I had a whole thing planned.
Wait, is the lady in Martin named Heather?
Her last name is Martin.
My middle name is Ian.
Oh.
It's part of my giving Korean name because I was adopted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
It makes no sense actually because it's actually like maybe Adam, but they just took like one of the syllables. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's just Ian. But
Did you say Ian?
Did I?
you said in, but it's
Oh,
okay.
That's why it confused me because Heather and Martin, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
in Martin? Was there a person in Martin named Heather? And
okay.
so
I didn't get what you were saying.
I was like, oh. I thought the lady's name was Pam or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Pam. There's also Shanae. Well, anyways.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. We're in Concord, California.
Yep.
Heather
Out in the
studio.
country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the farm.
Nice.
The farm, yeah. The suburban farm, really. But this actually looks a lot like my brother's house because he's got a big coop with vegetables and chickens and no ducks, though.
Yeah, and you guys have a vegetable garden as well?
We do, but it's kind of torn up from our dog running through it. Yeah. It's like our little playground.
Oh, that sucks. Do they eat anything? Do they eat any of it?
Yeah, she eats like all of it and pees on all of it. So we need to start over with the fencing.
I get it.
I see.
Oh. You have a giant dog?
She's about 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Puppy still.
That's
She's
pretty
only 9 months, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is she only 9 months? Oh, wow.
How big is she supposed to get?
I hope that's it. I think she's done. Yeah.
There's this weird...
The infamous coconut?
Yeah.
There's this weird thing I've noticed with artists and pets. It's like, at least for a good chunk of them, it seems like pets are like their substitute for children. I don't know. It doesn't apply to everyone, but I know for me and my wife, and I've noticed it more and more that artists are like, I got a dog or a cat or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I know. Every time we get a new animal, I'm sure my family is like a little more disappointed.
Yeah. My mom just had a discussion with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, why aren't you guys having kids yet?"
Yeah.
And she's baby crazy. So,
Yeah.
and she's trying to blame my wife, even though my entire life I've said like never having kids.
Yeah.
But I think I was joking, but serious. So
Yeah. Well, Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah. You ever plan on?
We've been on the fence, especially with like everything lately. And I even drew a comic about it where I'm like, how can people think about having kids when like the world is on fire and everyone hates each other and there's like guns in schools? And
yeah, I've been trying to read that book. I forget what it's called, but it's pretty much supposed to make you feel like the world is getting better. You know,
is it what happy or like? Is it that one? It's like 10% happier. Is it?
No. Someone posted that book on the comment section.
List.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're like, no, it's not that bad. And for my comic that I posted.
Oh, right, yeah, the comic where I remember that one.
Yeah, it's like based off of statistics, and it's supposed to kind of.
Oh, does it deal with things like, well, actually, the murder rate has been dropping steadily.
Yeah. Someone's yelling at the mic right now, or at
yelling at their speaker.
Yeah.
It's like they have a mic, they just plug in, record and send it to us.
Yeah, their little mic on their headset.
They're on Skype.
Like, hold on, figure it out. But I'm supposed to listen to the audiobook soon, just to kind of get a different point of view.
Do you feel like you're pessimistic? Like, generally?
I don't know. Good question. I think probably I'm not the person to ask about that. Do I seem pessimistic? I feel like I'm...
Well, I mean, just like in your general outlook, because I don't feel like I'm a pessimistic person, even though I'm grumpy about a lot of things. But...
Yeah, I would just assume the same. How about you?
I think I'm a realist. I don't think I'm a pessimist, but I'm not like super optimistic either.
Right. Yeah.
But I think, I don't know.
Yeah, that whole like subject is pretty complicated, having kids, because you go like, well, this whole global warming thing. So what am I sending a child into? Like, what world is he going to be a part of? And then you see like the divisiveness of everyone, and you're like, okay, well, that doesn't seem fun. And then, but I don't know. Well, I don't want kids, but it was never based off of that. It was just like, I don't want kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is like a bonus, like reasoning. I'm like, plus the world and all that stuff is extra. So it's even better. It's like makes my excuse more legitimate. But I'm just not that into having a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is, there's people out there that are super into it. They're like, I was born to be a mom.
Right.
I was born to be a dad. I'm like, you guys have kids. Take one. You can have mine. Have my extra.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's some people who say, I think this is probably just justifying it. They're like, we need more good people in the world, so I'm gonna raise my kid as good as I can.
Yeah. Well, it's true, though.
Yeah, there's a good point to that.
Yeah.
But still, at the same time, you can only do your best as far as raising somebody goes. But
plus, a person that says they're good probably, I don't know. There's something about that. Where like, I'm a good person. Like,
exactly.
Well, you think the people that are having kids somewhere else don't think they're the good person?
Right.
I mean, I don't know who gets to justify them being good.
It's up to everyone else, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
it's not me making that point.
Welcome to our Waiting to Pop a Baby Up podcast. But yeah, I mean, this all started because as for me and my wife, we're just like animals.
Yeah.
There is that weird thing where you go like, does that experience of having a kid kind of change your mindset of, or like,
does it take the place?
Is it a learning, like for instance, me as a person who's planning on only having pets, I do see this part of me where I go like, I hate people, I love animals kind of mentality, like, oh, I love animals, people are the worst. I don't like subscribe that fully, but there is every once in a while, I get that feeling, you know, when you see like a guy standing next to a elephant he took down and you're like, come on, bro, like, don't take that picture. Like, you're the worst human. Those kind of like scenarios. That whole experience of having a kid thing, I always wonder like if there's something to that and the human experience and us as artists kind of, a lot of times we perceive like we're like people watchers or world watchers.
Yeah.
So I wonder how important that is for, just.
Have you always been an animal person though? Like, for me, I was just always like glued to animals. I'd be at a party and be that introvert, like with the animal, like
for sure,
just natural.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we used to pet all the dogs that walked through the neighborhood.
Yep.
And like learn their names and
Yeah.
like, hey. Didn't care how stinky they were or what kind.
I was more like that with cats.
Yeah. You're one of
More
those.
chase cats around here.
Yeah, we once stole a cat. Well, a cat wandered into our yard, and we were like, "It's ours now."
Yeah.
And then we saw a lady posting bulletins on like all the things, and we ran out after we like watched through the window. We're like, I hope it's not our cat that she's trying to find. And then she, was like a block away. We ran out and looked. And we're like, it's hers. So we ran up to her and we're like, we found your cat.
Yeah.
And I think she knew. We also, she put that she was going to give us reward and she only gave us popcorn.
Aww.
Not cool.
I can make my own damn popcorn.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I have a feeling she knew. She was like, these kids don't like cat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them a reward.
Yeah.
It's kind of the danger
hilarious.
of having outdoor cats, though. It's like people can just take them. So
yeah, but it's weird if people take them because you're just like stealing responsibility.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not like a real. I don't know. See, what makes more sense is stealing dogs because there's like a weird thing where dogs have these certain breeds that are worth money.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's cats that way, but most of those cats seem like indoor cats.
Right.
Yeah.
Big fluffy ones or bald ones.
Yeah, like a Sphinx cat.
Some as big as your head. I forget what Disney that is, but it's a Disney.
Okay.
Lion King.
Oh, all right.
And it has to do with cats. Look at that.
Damn, did you plan that out?
I totally did. So how many animals do you have?
I think we're at 15 now.
Oh,
2
wow.
cats, 2 dogs, and 8 chickens, 3 ducks.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just saw a squirrel. Was that
Yeah,
yours?
that's ours too. Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, there was a baby squirrel, the first baby squirrel I've ever seen when we first got here. And
Really?
I'm pretty sure that might be it.
Huh.
It looked
cool.
it looked kind of weird because like its tail looked kind of not as hairy. I was like, that tail wasn't so hairy.
Yeah, it might have mange or something.
Oh, really? I thought maybe it just takes a while to grow in or something. No,
I have no idea.
I don't know if it takes 3 years.
Well, yeah. Nice. And you're originally from
Michigan.
Michigan. Nice.
Yep, rural, super
And
small
you're like,
town.
what part on the state?
We're kind of like here, center, kind of almost northern.
So if you're trying to figure this out, she's right between the middle finger and the ring finger.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right in the butt crack of those two.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tiny town with a couple of streetlights, and
Oh, really?
I see. Huh.
Oh, real small town, huh?
What's the closest big city to it?
Grand Rapids, I guess.
Okay.
Have you heard of Grand Rapids?
I've heard of it. I
Yeah.
just don't know where on the
Yeah.
where
I
on
just
the
know
globe
it's
it is.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just those two words.
Well, we were from
Exactly.
the city where I grew up was called Big Rapids. So then everyone would always laugh because it's like Grand Rapids, Big Rapids.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Someone should start a town near those called Super Cool Rapids.
It's probably out there.
Hella big rap.
Yeah. Super warm rapids. Yeah, that's cool. So you lived there till you kind of blossomed into an adult?
I lived there until college, and then I looked for anywhere warm to get out.
So Florida
So
was
I
the
went
place.
to Florida. Yeah, it was
Okay.
seriously just because of weather,
Oh, really?
which shows how mature I was.
That makes a lot of sense. though.
Yeah,
I mean, what nationality are you?
I'm adopted Korean.
You're what?
Adopted.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I
So-
mean,
Michigan.
Korea's a pretty well, depending on the area of Korea, it can get super cold actually. Because I always wonder like how much your genetic background determines like
Yeah, I don't know.
what you can cope as far as weather.
Growing up in Michigan, I did all right, but I've lived in Florida for 4 years, then LA for 2, and then the rest here. So I'm super weak. Like I freeze when it's like 60 degrees out now.
Yeah.
I'm always
Sounds
in
like
a
my
parka.
life. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just getting used to whatever your environment you're in.
Probably. Yeah, because my parents are from pretty hot parts of Mexico, and I hate the heat.
Yeah.
I have a coworker who has this weird theory that depending on the month you were born in, it determines what kind of weather you like. So if you're born in like a summer month, then you really like summer. If you're born in a winter month, so when were you born?
July. So yeah, summer.
So I've been trying to test that theory out as much as I can when I remember. When people are like, I hate the cold or whatever, I'm like, what month were you born? And so far it's checked out.
Really?
I'm like, maybe he's got something there.
Huh.
How about you, Sergio? What are we looking at?
Well, you should know when I was born.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty good at birthdays. August 24th.
Yeah. But August is probably one of my least favorite temperature-wise months, so I don't know.
But I thought you like the warmth.
No, he doesn't.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Oh,
he ruins it.
Thanks a lot, Sergio, for that. Or exception to the rule.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. So did you go to Florida to pursue art as well?
I did. I went to school for illustration at Ringling.
Ringling,
nice.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You
Ringling.
met our former guest, Bagger 43.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah, we were in class together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's supposed to be a good school, right? I know zero about
I don't know.
schools.
Like I'm looking at her like, is it a good school? It sounds like it was pretty similar to the Academy of Art, at least the way that Dennis was telling us.
I don't know. I was trying to think about this because I know you guys talk about this stuff a lot, but I don't know if it was the best thing for me, but I can't tell if it was just because I was so like immature and I didn't really absorb information as well as I do now. So
Oh, really? Huh.
I feel like I didn't get a lot out of it as a kid, but I might have just been a dumb 20-something kid.
I was super smart at 21. Just a fun fact about myself.
How old were you when you started school?
18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty normal,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about art school. So it's always like, I don't know. It seems like there's some that are like so prestigious and some that are whatever. I just heard the name a couple times. I'm like, it must be a good one.
Right. Yeah, there's a handful of schools that are big, that are like dedicated art schools like that. Like the Academy is one of them. I feel like Ringling is pretty big. Is Savannah College? That's a pretty decent sized one as well. But yeah, it's just like those schools, unless you're at them, I have no idea. Like everyone's own experience with those schools are different too. Especially, a school that size, they're trying to cater so much to like be like just generally like even like in the departments themselves, they're still like, well, we'll teach you how to do all this stuff, but you still got to figure out what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, I feel like with any school, if you're a go-getter and like really into learning and want to learn as much as possible, you can learn a lot because there's always good teachers wherever you go. So I just feel like I wasn't in that mind space, at that age.
Yeah, I'm still probably not in that one. I feel like I'm a go-getter, but not a learner.
Right.
Not a person who likes learning from someone.
Yeah.
Like to just like run into darkness with my hands out and hope I don't trip. Yeah. Huh.
But I feel like for you, it's mostly the setting, right? Because, I mean, you listen to people talk all the time and you get a lot of learning out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that like whole like formal setting and lecture style where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just so boring.
Yeah. I can see that.
But where do they get the name for that school? Do you know? I don't know why.
I don't even
Is
know.
there any
The last
connection
name
to
of somebody?
circus?
No, yeah. So
Yeah.
they have a museum. I'm probably getting this wrong, but I think it's the same brothers, but they were major art lovers, and they have a huge museum full of really amazing artwork.
Like the Ringling Brothers?
I think so.
Barnum and Bailey?
I think so.
Oh, that's awesome.
They always called it the clown college.
I hope this is wrong, but
I'm
it's
really
so much
sorry.
no matter what,
wrong.
that's the best way the school could have. There's no better story.
Yeah.
Even if you knew the real story, it's not better than that.
Everyone always asked if it was a clown college, and we're all so tired of it. But
You're right. Yeah, I know the feeling. I have the last name Lawyer. I get a joke I've heard my entire life.
Right.
And it's not funny.
And, yeah, you lean into it in your Instagram bio.
Yeah, that doesn't work well for me. People are like, "Are you really a lawyer?" I'm like, I don't know what to do now. Do I change my name? But yeah, that's cool.
I feel like I should look that up, but I don't know. I'll leave it. We can pretend.
Yeah. We'll never look it up either. We're just going to always refer to it as the college established by the two brothers.
Yeah. Somebody in our in the comments writes, "Well, actually, it was delete."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't any of our listeners Google that. Yeah, that's cool. What sent you to LA?
Ex-boyfriend.
Later, loser. Nice. And then what you said? So then after that, you moved up.
He got a job. He worked at DreamWorks.
Okay.
So then he worked in the PDI office in Redwood City. So he moved up here, and then I just stayed up here. I really like it.
Nice. Yeah, this area is hella cool. It's what it's what the Yelp reviews always say. Yeah, everyone picks up the word hella on their way.
Yeah, exactly. It comes with your first burger at In-N-Out.
Yeah, just like it infects you with the word hella.
Yeah.
Nice. So does your family and all that stay over there?
In Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom is a snowbird, so she goes to Florida every winter. But
So you're part bird.
yeah.
Wow.
Hence all the chickens and ducks.
Yeah.
Those are your peeps. That's cool. I didn't know you can snowbirds. I mean, I know the story of storks. Like, I know that. But I always thought that was a myth. It's cool to know. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Well timed, Sergio. He is becoming a beast on that.
That's good.
So, for your schooling, did you basically learn to paint gouache there, or how did that come about?
No, we didn't. I didn't even know what gouache was until
really?
like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
How
when
new
I
is
started.
gouache? Is it?
Oh, it's been
No,
around for a really long time. Yeah.
I feel like most people are like, it seems like brand new to everyone.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I mostly did oils in college, and I was in illustration, so it wasn't even like from life or anything.
And what made you transition to gouache?
I just wanted to get back into traditional media, and I was working at a game studio in San Francisco, and I would go out during lunch and paint with friends, and it was just the easiest and quickest medium to use.
Yeah. I feel like that's the story with a lot of game artists. You just want to pick up something and go with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it works well. It's perfect for like urban sketching and stuff.
Yeah. Do you still do the game art?
No, I got out.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I don't have money, but I am happy. So yeah, so far it's good. I'm surviving.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, that's something we talk about all the time. Because, for people who don't know, Heather and I, we talk on Instagram and Facebook like all the time, even though this is only our second time actually hanging out in person.
True introverts.
Yeah. But we actually met at a plein air event, Capitola plein air, a couple of years ago. And I remember that first conversation being pretty awkward too.
A lot of hands in pockets.
Yeah. Staring at the ground.
Yep.
A lot of like the like the pee dance movements.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of rubbing your foot into the ground.
You guys should start a clothing line called would you say true
Introverts, like true religion.
Yeah, true introverts.
Just pockets everywhere and like little fidget things.
Yeah, exactly. Bells on your little thing.
Yeah, exactly. But was that your first plein air event? I'm trying to remember if it was or not.
It was my first like multi-day one. I tried like little ones here and there.
Oh, okay. You did like county fairs or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
the
that.
fairs. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it was good though. It was a really good first experience, I think.
Yeah, that was
The
fun.
fairs?
Capitola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The fairs are fun. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know nothing about this world, so take it away, Sergio.
Yeah, that was because we did it with a few people that, Franklin Lay introduced me to you.
Mhm.
The very first thing he said was like, Patrick Matthews wants his fox back. I was borrowing a taxidermy. Or not a fox. No, it was a pheasant at that point.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I traded him a fox for the pheasant. But, so yeah, and then you and Franklin mostly went out painting. And so that was kind of like, that's probably good for a first time to kind of have somebody to hang out with the entire time.
Yeah, and our friend Sydney also came.
That's
so
right, yeah.
It was just us kind of like, it was really fun. We had a good time.
Mm-hmm. And so I think, you and I know you won a little award from that one, so that's probably a little encouraging.
Yeah, I got the artist choice, which in my opinion was the best one.
Yeah.
But I was pretty excited.
But doesn't have the check attached to it?
It came with quite a few awards, like gift
Prizes?
cards and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I think I walked away with like almost $500 worth of.
Nice.
Really?
Cards,
Wow,
yeah.
that's awesome.
That's cool.
I have yet to redeem most of them.
Oh, really?
'Cause they're all in Santa Cruz.
They're all like Santa Cruz.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and they're always closed on the weekends. So
they?
last year I went to, or they're closed on Sunday, the only day
all
when
right.
I could
They
go
don't
over
have
there.
like an online store you can use?
No.
Huh.
I know.
That's lame.
I'll be back, hopefully.
Oh, I'll be back. That's cool. That's cool for your first like competition. Those things are always weird to me. I can never wrap my head. Someone sent me a competition. They're like, you should do it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I know I've kind of been going back and forth on it myself, but so far what I'm coming to the conclusion is it's worth it just to meet people and to network. Because,
Right.
I wouldn't have met Sergio if I didn't go. And
Your life wouldn't be any worse.
yeah.
Wait a second.
But yeah, it's not necessarily I don't like the whole competition aspect and everything, but just meeting people, like collectors and stuff is also fun. So
Yeah.
it's a good experience.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's probably also cool to kind of, competition I'm not against. In like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. I think your mindset going into a competition is probably the worst way of doing it. If you have like a parent who's like, you gotta win or something like that, or else no dinner or something like that.
Well, the problem is, especially with plein air events, a lot of the judging feels so arbitrary.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing is like the judging is weird. I think competition is good, but in a way, I don't think it's, at least for me, it's like a weird thing where I'm just competitive in general. So I don't think I need like an environment to feel that. Like I'm always just trying to compete with myself or whatever.
For sure.
But I don't know if that's how you guys look at it at all. If it's like something where the competition might push you past your comfort zone, or if it makes you fall back onto comfort.
For me, it definitely does.
It pushes you past like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to win the award. A lot of times that might be the only money you make too.
Yeah,
Some of these
that's
events, trying to sell your painting doesn't always work. There's been a few where I walked away with nothing. So yeah, not having a prize that you can make at least the money that you spent to actually go out there and also some of them, sometimes you get hosted at plein air events, but a lot of times you don't either. Mm-hmm. So you end up spending money to stay out there if you had to, go out of town to do the event. So yeah, a lot of times that's part of like you're hoping to pay your way back by winning an award sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So, or else you usually sell your bot.
No, we give that away freely. Okay.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I used to be a distance runner. I used to do a lot of marathons and stuff like that. And I find the competitions very similar to like a big event, like a big race, where you go all out. Like when I'm in the competition, I'm trying my best to like get the most unique compositions and like just do as many as I can, but also like as good as they can be. You know?
That's cool.
And I don't really, I do that like by myself, but I definitely push myself to a whole different level when I'm competing.
That's interesting. How's the trash talk when it comes to those environments?
Stays on Instagram. DMs.
That is an interesting thing to think about, is in that environment, because I don't know, because I could picture definitely being pushed and kind of, I know like in those competitive environments, there's also like an energy about the whole scenario. And, and there is all this like weird, like mental game you're doing to yourself. Yeah. You're like hyping yourself up and you're kind of like in this deep, like intense situation. So I don't think I've ever been in a situation like that with art.
Right.
Yeah, but it feels the same way, like exactly like the running races. Like you get the same butterflies and like antsiness, and you kind of just want it to be over, but you're also excited to do it. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very similar.
I like that.
Yeah, the competition like between the artists is kind of interesting because it's usually a lot of times, I mean, I've been doing plein air events for past 8-9 years, so a lot of people who I do them with are friends now. So it's like there's like friendly trash talking, just just ribbing each other.
Right.
But when it comes to actually like when you get to the actual part where they're handing out awards, well, obviously you're hoping it's you, but you're never like that sour about it.
Yeah. That's probably the weirdest part of the whole situation. Just because you're in a sport where it's not based off of how many scores you can make to find the winner or who passes the finish line first. It's literally like, all right, now you decide.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it seems like a roll of the dice in a weird way. Yeah. As far as that part is concerned, it's almost like gambling.
The only time when it's not that is when it's Artist Choice Awards.
Right.
When they, like Sonoma Plein Air does it where that's the only prize is just chosen, like who all your peers choose who made the best painting.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Well, then you should play it like the Survivor show.
Yeah, exactly.
Just build alliances.
Wait, Sonoma doesn't have like a regular first, second, third?
No, they have
just Artist Choice?
Yeah, they have one Artist Choice Award, and I think they have a runner-up.
Oh.
Why don't they always do that?
It's a good question.
It's even if you have it
like when it's that way.
Maybe like you could have like 3 art judge critique people. And then it's also the artist gets to put in an opinion and kind of be like, if there's 3 judges, they get to be like the 4th judge or something, like.
Like, sometimes they do some similar things like that. The one that I did in Georgia, it was 4 different judges there, and one was an artist, like a pretty well-known plein air painter, and they gave out. There was a lot of awards that they gave out for that one, but I think there was an Artist Choice
participation award.
Yeah, exactly. They meant nothing, like free beer, maybe.
So just like, I want an award. Like, which one? Like, don't worry about it.
The award in my mind. But yeah, and that one they also gave out like a judge's award. Like the individual judge was able to be like, "Oh, this was my favorite piece."
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, everybody has a different way of doing it, or every event.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird.
It is
I
weird.
feel like the only way I kind of am okay with it is if there's like a larger pool of judges.
Yeah.
You know, the larger the pool, the more it seems like
Right.
less opinion oriented. And even though it is an opinion, but it seems like the wider the pool, the more focused you're going to get, kind of, or you know, or more legitimate it's going to seem.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than 3 people, or what's the standard?
1.
1 judge?
Usually,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, a lot of the times the plein air events, like they hire somebody to do the judging.
And it's 1 person?
Most of the time, yeah.
What? That's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back out.
Sometimes it's artists I know who are like judging.
Oh, that's really awkward. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He's like, remember that time you didn't buy me a beer, man?
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, that's a running joke with a lot of people. But yeah, a lot of times the judges, they do their explanation like, this is how I tried to keep it as fair as I can. Like I give a number score for how I judge your, like, each part of the painting, like your composition, your color, your brushwork, and everything like that. So when it gets to the point where, okay, I got a tie between like the last 3 or 4 that I really
between Sergio and Heather.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what happens? You guys like fight.
Heather bats her eyelashes.
You can bat your eyelashes. No one's stopping
You have longer eyelashes. I think you can pull it off better.
Yes, Sergio. You were born with them too.
My dimples aren't deep enough.
Blink what your mama gave you. Nice. Yeah. So what happens in the tie? Sorry, that got a little off track.
What about the judging?
Yeah.
Oh, when it gets down to like the last few, then it's like I just got to make the judge follows his heart, I guess, or her.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one, but I might be a little biased because I got a lot of awards that day, but was 3 different judges at this event, and they all had like different styles and different things that they liked. So I felt like it was the most fair, but yeah, I don't know. I think that was my favorite, was just having multiple judges, because one person you know, they're going to pick what they personally like, and you can't really blame them. But
and like the like fight world, there's always that like controversy where, because it's a judge sport, so if there's not a clear knockout or whatever, then it goes to the decision.
Right, that's a point system too.
Yeah, and sometimes people are like, were the judges watching that fight? You know, is that a common scenario in the competitive plein air world, where people are like, that person won? That was, I mean, we talked about one scenario, but other than that one time, is that a common thing, or is it pretty like, okay, like I could see that?
It depends. Sometimes, yes.
How about you? Have you seen something you're like, that shit won?
No
you don't have to name anyone or any place.
It's happened before, yeah. Definitely. I think it's gonna happen pretty much all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I feel like the bigger the judging pool,
the less that happens.
Would kind of stop that or slow it down.
Yeah, there's some sort of checks and balances with each other, the judges. Yeah, probably.
And especially if you get the artists that are involved in it, then it kind of would make sense that the artist wouldn't look back at the competition and go like, that doesn't make sense, because it's literally their judging.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like you could be like, if they pick them, it's like we pick them.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All of us. Unless you're doing the Survivor model where you're building alliances and, you know, outwit, outlast, survive.
I've never seen that show. Big surprise.
I'm kind of addicted to it.
Is it still going?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. My wife made fun of me for a long time, and now she's hooked. That's how it works. But yeah, I enjoy it because it's like this weird play on exaggerated version of human nature. So you see like all these like weird characteristics of humans play out in this extreme version, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like evil people like that go far, and like people that are willing just to kind of follow the crowd kind of just don't get anywhere in the end. And
yeah, but you know, it's all staged too. It's like
the narrative is controlled, but you do see like I don't know if it's staged as in like a role, like everyone's just playing out a role. But I think there is like a manipulation of the guest where they'll probably interview him and go like, what do you think of that person? And it kind of like plants a seed or things like that. But it seems like it's all authentic. It's not like, I don't think it's like Kim Kardashian's thing where it's like, they actually have a script and they're just like, we're going to have you buying ice cream this week. And then we're going to do this dilemma. At least that's what I think, but maybe I'm dead wrong.
So it's probably just the scenarios are contrived and they kind of know how to push people right or the way they want to go, but the reactions are genuine.
Yeah, I think anytime you put a group of strangers in an island in like an extreme environment, there's just gonna like it's probably gonna write itself the drama.
That's true.
And then you force them to vote each other off.
Yeah.
And the prize is $1 million. It's like, all right, well, you just set up a scenario where there's going to be ridiculousness.
Yeah, that's true. There's probably not much they need to do.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But yeah.
You just got hit with a classic waiting to try tangent.
Facts. I don't know if that's loud enough. That kind of sounded quiet.
It probably was, right? Oh, it was low for some reason. All right.
But yeah, I don't know. We should probably bring this back.
But yeah, that when we met at the Capitola plein air, you were still working in games, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, and you got out like pretty quickly from after that, right? A few months?
Yeah, probably about 5-6 months after that.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was longer than I thought that you stuck with it. Was that something that you were already planning on doing before that, or did that kind of help push you to that?
I think it just kind of helped. At that point, I was still pretty fresh and new to it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just really also wanted out.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, were you kind of already wanting out from the video game thing?
Yeah.
And that just kind of helped nudge you toward that? Yeah, that makes sense.
And what was that based on?
What?
Like the urge to get out of that kind of career choice?
So I was doing a really long commute. So I live in Concord, going all the way to San Francisco every day. And at the time, I was trying to paint a lot as well. So I would paint during lunch, and then I would draw on the BART both ways, and then I'd come home, and then I'd paint at night. So like I was working every single minute of the day.
Right.
And I just wanted a little more time and like a more balanced life.
I see.
Yeah. And I hate being like sitting and staring at a computer all day.
For sure.
It's the worst.
Yeah, unless it's YouTube, and then sign me up. Just kidding. But nice. Do you try to show, like, I mean, you seemed like you're going this plein air route. Do you also, like, is it galleries like a big kind of direction that you want to, like, because we've been having this discussion just about galleries in general.
Yeah.
And so I find it interesting routes people are trying to go art wise. Is that a big direction you're a big kind of?
I don't have a super clear direction right now, but I'm definitely utilizing galleries.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out the balance of trying to do the traditional route, you know, where you go through galleries and everything, and also trying to figure out a new creative way for, you know, the new generation. Like, it's a different type of buyer now. So
yeah, and there's a lot of different avenues you can go based off of social medias and the interwebs and the YouTubes.
And the Snapchats and the
Snapchats and the Googles.
And the Tweeters.
Yeah. And have we named all the old ways of saying the thingies?
Yeah. Is there a cute one for Pinterest? I haven't heard it yet.
No, they ended it on an S, so it ruins it.
Yeah.
The Pinter.
The pins.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole just kind of scenario is so interesting to see how they're playing out and how people are doing different things, you know, outside of the gallery. Like, I think the galleries are great, and I think there's definitely a purpose to them. But it's interesting to see all these different routes.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of options out there, but I'm getting into a lot more galleries this year. I've had a lot of really crazy luck lately, but yeah, I wouldn't exactly say I'm strictly plein air either. I do a lot of like still lifes and you know, some figure work and pretty much anything that I can paint. But so yeah, I am trying to get more into galleries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, how do you kind of decide what to paint? Like, is there one that kind of trumps the rest? Like, I love doing this, and these are kind of like, you know, when I have time.
It kind of just depends on my mood. Like, I like setting up a lot of still lifes because you can control the composition more, and you can also tell like a more personal story with the stuff that you have. But plein air is also really fun just to get out and like see a different color palette and you know, be inspired by nature.
Yeah. When we came into your house, you have your home studio, and we were looking at your stuff, and it was kind of cool seeing, you know, like the still lives or like things like that where there is like a weird thing of where we're in the building that you seem to be, you know, like you're painting your actual home, which is awesome. And then the like, oh, like that's there. And, and you know, and I don't know, there is something cool about that. And the intimacy you get from the feeling of specifically your still lives. It doesn't seem like almost a set up environment. It literally feels like a snapshot of what you're doing that day. In your environment.
I try to leave as much as possible because it's kind of a memory for me. Like just thinking about, you know, I'm going to explain a painting that you can't see, but that painting over there's like shadows, long shadows, and it reminds me of the trees that cast the shadows that only I know about, but the viewer doesn't really see. So I don't know.
I see what you mean.
And the paint, we can just talk about that painting.
Okay.
This could be the painting we actually talked about. All right. But that painting specifically, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is cool because one of the cool things about it were just like the placement of the boots. And because I noticed your boot tray when we were setting up, I was like, oh, that's where they set up their boots. And then I walked and looked at your painting and I was like, oh, there's their boots. There is something about that, like, I don't know, there's something like very intimate just about that little detail of like, these are where our boots go. You know, like you can almost imagine that scenario playing out of like, you walk into your house from your little farm in the backyard, you take off your
chore boots on.
You probably like kick off the dirt before you walk in or something like that. You walk to this area where it's designated boot area, you kick them off, and, you know, and then you go into doing whatever you were doing. But that narrative is built into that simple, like, just boot. I don't know if I'm putting it in all that based on the fact that I am at your house, but I don't know. There is something interesting about that piece. I noticed it with another piece you did that's right behind you of like your bedroom, I assume. And then there's like two shoes on the side of the bed, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like there is that like you know, like the narrative of the human being that's in this scenario is pretty much put there by the simplest thing of two shoes. You know, like like someone exists in this environment, and you write the narrative based on these items that are, you know, in it.
Exactly. That's what I like. I like people's imaginations to start going and like thinking of what happened in the scene, who was there, why did they get up? Like for that one, it was a little more staged. Like I actually sat down with a book and then got up, pretended like something was out to see where I would place the book. And, you know.
Your glasses and these things. Yeah, I could feel that. But there is still that, like, I don't know. There still is like the story you're trying to tell and us having to complete that and the narrative, and knowing you end up being the person in the narrative. But I don't know, it would be interesting to think of what people see in that, how much of themselves they kind of pick out of that.
And I've been asking people in my Instagram, you know, like, what do you think happened in the scene? And I just like hearing people like say stuff. Most of it was pretty true. They're like, I had to go to the bathroom because I drank too much tea. I'm like, that's probably what happened. But then some people would be like, I forgot my meds in the middle of the night, which, you know, it's very relatable. And it's like, that's kind of cool too. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, or moida.
Moida.
Moida. Someone was moided. It's like I don't know. The Office, the show The Office. He does improv, and it always leads to like him having to kill someone. Like, I don't know. I just imagined Michael Scott being a follower of yours.
That would be awesome.
Right.
But yeah, that's cool. So is that kind of, are you trying to like, with these still lives, is your intention also to kind of almost make it feel intimate in that way?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to be doing a group show with Studio Gallery, and I was thinking of a theme. They didn't require a theme, but I was thinking of one myself, and one I'm leaning towards is home, just like, because I'm here a lot and I paint like everything inside the home, but it's also, you know, I want people to be able to relate to it and feel maybe a little nostalgia, or you know, just have like these feelings, and the subtle things like you're pointing out is like exactly what I was hoping.
Yeah, that's definitely what I picked up from like a lot of the still lives. I was like the ones where it's like the chives and just like a couple cut or something like that. I was like, oh, like that's cool. Like it's kind of like telling you someone's cooking. It's putting you in the environment.
And that one was a little more personal because it reminded me of my grandpa that passed away, and we shared the love for spring onions, so
for sure
we were like the only ones in the family that ate them like crazy. And
really?
Just reminded me of them.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that a lot.
How much of that do you share with, I guess, social media, like those kinds of stories?
I try to share more now because I know people can relate to it more, and they seem to really enjoy hearing the stories.
They
behind
do,
it.
yeah.
So I think it's fun to tell the stories as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. There is something about social media and being able to like share a part of you in an authentic way that people just seem to connect with. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Sorry.
But yeah, speaking of social media, you're somebody who I noticed just rocketed your following. Just not. I could see why, especially your dogs are back. Like I could see why. I wonder if was that something that you like are constantly trying to like engineer, or you just like put your stuff out there and just whatever happens, or is there somewhere in between?
Sorry, I got a little distracted. Can you repeat?
Sure, yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, like your growth on Instagram, is that something that you're like actively trying to really pursue and make and grow, or is it something that's kind of like you think is more of a byproduct of how you just naturally share yourself on social media?
It's pretty natural, but I am more conscious of it. Like at first I was just doing whatever I wanted, and then I started realizing that, you know, people like it more if you don't show like all the really ugly stuff, or like, you know, my stupid comics that I look like I'm drawing them with my left hand.
Right.
So I kind of separated those things and noticed more growth, and I pay attention to what I post and how I
just like curating your posts a little more.
But at the same time, I'm not like trying exactly super hard either, you know?
Right.
I'm trying to keep it real and to myself because I don't want a bunch of fake followers either.
Right, exactly,
you know? Like I want them to like what I post because it's myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important is somehow putting yourself out there. I really think that's huge. I've been trying to be one thing I've been really trying to do is react to people as authentic as I can. So if they ask me something that annoys me, I'm just going to respond in annoyance. And not in like an angry way, but more in like a sassy way, I guess. which is kind of how I am in general. So it's really authentic, but but it's weird because I noticed that people also kind of enjoy that. Like people that are like starting to understand my sense of humor, they will like give it back, or then becomes like this funner interaction of like, oh, we can give each other shit and like it's perfectly fine. Like I don't have to pretend that I love you and you love me.
Right.
We can just have this fun conversation that's a little bit darker.
That hasn't backfired on you?
Oh, it has, but I don't care that much. Yeah. I go like, sorry, you're not for me then.
Yeah.
Like obviously I'm not the person that you should follow because I'm just going to be sassy sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's someone else that won't be, so go follow them.
Yeah, it's probably, there's a bit of respect of like, you're reacting to me in a genuine way. You're not just like some bot. Like
yeah, and it ends up being a funner environment for me. Like mentally better. Right. Like, oh, I don't hate this all the time.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So start talking shit out there, people.
You want to talk some shit?
Wow.
God, I love that one. Nice. Yeah. So I haven't really known your growth. Like, has it happened recently?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because I think when I first started following you, you were probably like at 8,000 or something like that. And you're at like 34,000 or something like that.
I just hit 40.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, I'm not even up to date on it. They're going to do what they do.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, my dogs are barking. But I don't know. It's been a couple of years. I haven't even been painting for that long. It's only been maybe 3 years since I've started traditional art again.
Oh,
so yeah, the growth has been pretty fast, I would have to say.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. Everyone's really nice.
Yeah, the nice thing about your account is that like the people who you get a lot of people engaging with you, like the comments are people genuinely interested in hearing more about you and everything. So it's not a bunch of fake followers, I don't think.
And I've made a lot of connections with people like along the way. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure.
I've met a lot of really cool people, all the way in Australia or whatever, and it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, do you get a lot of people like, how are you doing this?
I do, yeah.
So, how are you? I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's always I've got like a bit of a jump recently, and I have like my theories, but I don't understand it necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just like, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to keep trying to do it.
Yeah. Well, being a listener of the podcast, you've probably heard Josh's theory before. Have you? Or maybe not.
I'm sure I have.
Not try that hard and do the opposite of what everyone tells you to do.
Like
so
everything, all the like blogs of like 5 steps to
post daily. What I don't know what else they say. Post at a certain time of day.
Right.
Like all these things I try my hardest not to follow.
Yeah, I don't do any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, my theory was do the opposite because they probably adjusted the algorithm to not have that be an effective technique.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, if it was that easy, just everybody would do it all the time.
Yeah, they're just like, don't allow that. But I also think I don't know. Yeah, I compared it to us being druggies and Instagram being a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Subtleties to my conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I think about it. Is like the more it seems like we're addicted to it, the less they reward us. Where the more we kind of like pull back and go like, I'll do it whenever I want. I don't, has seemed to be more like the less I try to treat it like some algorithm and just kind of have fun with it and do whatever I want. And, sometimes I won't post for like 3 weeks. Sometimes I'll post like daily. There's no consistency. It's just sometimes I post at like 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this painting looked good now. Click.
Yeah.
Post. And the more it seemed to be rewarding follower wise. I don't know if that pertains to you at all.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it that way. I honestly try to just not think about it too much. I try not to look at it too much.
Yeah.
The only reason I know the 40 is because I know the big landmarks, but that's about it. I try not to pay too much attention because you can get totally sucked up into it, and I hate when people get too into it, and that's all they talk about. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. I apologize for bringing. I apologize for Sergio bringing it up.
Well, I'm obsessed with it. I'm not really, but
I told Sergio my theory. He's like, but I can't not look at it.
That's not for me. No, I mean, I've been trying to do different things with Instagram lately, more just for my own projects that I have going on. So I'm not really even thinking about growing my Instagram, which is fine because it hasn't grown at all. But I'm just trying to do different things with it, more for my art rather than growing my Instagram.
Mm-hmm. I think you are kind of right. I think it is kind of onto something. The more you think about it, the slower it goes. Just gotta stop thinking about it. Stop caring.
I think so. I really think there's something, because it's weird, because I also have this theory that they reward you for not caring. They reward you with followers to kind of bring you back. It's we're giving you, show us more attention. And then sometimes I have to I'm like, oh, I'm getting a ton of followers, and I have to don't pay attention to it. Who cares? Just kind of do what you're doing. Don't get addicted to Instagram again.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that people always are hoping is that more followers means more money, and eventually you follow that path down. And it just doesn't seem to be true for most people.
Yeah,
for everyone we've talked to.
I think it depends on how you set it up.
Right.
I'm in the mindset right now of trying to figure that out as well. But I think there is a potential. I mean, you just have a wider audience. So with a wider audience, you have potential to sell more. More. Yeah. But I think there is different ways of treating it like a business. And I don't know. I think it's tricky. Even if you're just going to get free sponsorship from art companies that want your your shout outs, that's still some monetary gain.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached by anybody who wants to sponsor?
No, not really.
Gotta go get some free gouache.
Yeah,
exactly.
There was this one gouache company that reached out to me, but I don't know if their quality is exactly what I would want to be using to my work, so I haven't responded.
Are you pretty particular with your gouache brands?
I am not. I have 5 different brands that I use, but I find myself leaning more towards Winsor Newton and M. Graham, pretty much just because they're consistent and the quality is really good.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is the name gouache as a medium kind of shoot itself in its foot?
Yeah. Nobody knows how to pronounce it.
Oh,
it's hard to spell.
Yeah, it sounds like a kid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gouache. It cleans off with soap and water. Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a running joke with my ex that we call it gouache because like that's what she thought it was pronounced as at first. So.
That's my husband.
Hello, husband. He's trying to seduce us. And it's working. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
Totally distracted with a half-naked man.
With sunglasses. Extra good.
Brought it home, yeah.
And a glisten to him. We had this article that we wanted to talk about. Do you want to bring that up now?
Oh, well, it's not really an article. It's just more, it was more the title of the article they brought up. It was a thing. It was about artist etiquette. It was actually like some, I think it was a chapter of a book or something that somebody sent me. And the way I interpreted it was there were certain things that they talked about in the article, which was like, don't show your work or like don't be represented by two different galleries in the same city or like region, because it's kind of like you're making galleries compete with each other, and you're kind of competing with yourself when you do that a bit. I don't know if like that 50% cut with galleries, I don't know if that falls under etiquette or if
this is like business standards kind of thing.
I think so. Yeah. It wasn't so much like, I don't know like what would be like good manners as an artist, but
good etiquette, like don't blatantly copy anyone else's art.
Yeah, that's
probably rule number one.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
If you're trying, do it if you're trying to learn how to create art. Don't do it as a representation of what you're trying to present as artwork.
Right.
That would be like, for me, what would be like etiquette.
Yeah. Don't be illegal in that way. You're kind of violating copyright law when you do that.
Yeah. But even if you're not like copying it, there's still like if you're not copying the exact painting, there's like a level of copying where you're like,
right.
That kind of thing would be like, if I off the top of my
totally
head.
Stole someone's style.
Yeah. I know style is like a weird kind of term or something, but we've all seen Jeremy Mann's rants. But yeah, I don't know. But so this article is about just kind of like business standard things.
I guess so. Yeah, it was more talking about things like that, where it's like do's and don'ts when it comes to dealing with a gallery and the art world just in general.
Do they teach you those kind of things in school?
Very little of it.
Yeah.
It's more stuff you just pick up on your own. But the reason it was interesting to me was because there's a lot of things that I feel like I probably take for granted in like just dealing with galleries and the plein air scene, whereas Josh, you're not in that scene at all, so you can look at it all with like
I'm a sassy pants.
Yeah, with an objective eye, but you're also a good person to be like, wait, that does sound dumb, like prove to me why that's not dumb. So that's kind of your thought about it. And then Heather, you're kind of new to like doing this, so we've talked about certain things where just run into I'm just like, well, that's just how they do things sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So, for instance, like I remember early on a gallery saying like, "Oh, you need to wire your paintings that I didn't wire," and I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
like this is my part of the job. I should do that. Correctamundo."
Right.
But there is business parts of the art world where, I think even artists, when you gather as artists, these topics always pop up of like the 50% thing. People always are frustrated about that. And the more and more we get into this world of this digital world, the more and more frustrated artists seem to be, because we have a advertising platform that we seem to be, for the most part, better at than the galleries.
Yeah.
So, and the lack of avenues to have advertisement, like magazines aren't as influential as they used to be, kind of scenario, Yeah. And even them, their influence seems to be more on this platform of like Instagram or whatever than their actual digital magazine or whatever they're doing now, or hard copies. But
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you get like do you get frustrated with like things you learn the more and more you work with galleries?
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of frustrations just learning like as a total noob. Like there's a lot of unspoken things that you're just, where are you gonna learn them except for through experience?
Right, exactly.
That's why I've like constantly bombarded you with questions. I'm like, what is this how they do it? Like, but yeah, I've had a lot of that.
Yeah. We had this conversation recently. We were at Judson, who was a previous guest in our show and co-host, and and we had other artists, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like when the gallery makes you pay half for the advertisement in a magazine." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I've never heard.
And they were like, "Yeah, And then if it's a group show, each person pays a certain percentage based on the number of artists." I'm like, I would never.
That's usually on a voluntary basis, though. Like you've never had.
It seemed like a standard, almost, how she was explaining it.
When it comes to plein air events, has anybody ever approached you about like we're going in on advertising like for?
No,
oh
that's
really?
never happened to me.
Oh, it's happened to me a bunch.
Really?
Yeah, where they're like, oh, we're gonna put an ad in like Plein Air magazine, for example, and like if you want your work in that page, give us this amount of money, and then we'll put your picture in with everyone else who wants to. And so it got split like 4 ways or however many different pictures that they're gonna put into it.
Yeah. I mean, I've working in such like a corporate environment for my actual work. I've learned that the ability to say no is very important. Like and the power of saying no is very important because what will happen is people will then take as much as you're willing to give them. So if you go like, they're like, you want to do this? And you go like, okay, then they'll just take it. So for me, I'm always like, no, for me, it's like, we have to define the relationship between these, like between galleries, for instance. You have to define that relationship. My relationship is, in my head, is I create the work of art and your job is to sell that work of art. You can do that through advertisement, through developing, buyers, that trust your eye, these kind of things. That's your worth. My worth is creating artwork that you think is valuable and enabled and that you think will fit the category that kind of you've curated as your overall aesthetic in your gallery or whatever. But when it becomes that I have to pay for your advertisement, that seems like I don't ask you to pay for my paints. I don't ask you to pay for my studio space or things like that. We have a separation of what our responsibility is in this relationship.
Right.
But when they go like, you have to pay half, I'm like, whoa. That seems like that's on the sales end. If I'm doing part of the sales, then I should get a larger percentage of the revenue from that.
Right. Exactly.
Because if all you're covering is your 4 walls that you're showing my work on, I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem fair because we're all paying rent of some sort of structure to paint in, to live in,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that or even heard about it.
Yeah, me neither. I just heard about this was that Wednesday?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? There was so many things that were so weird to me because we are in different artwork. She seems like she's a much more traditional painter.
Right.
And I am whatever I am. and my relationship with galleries, I think, are so. I'm probably also like way more tense with my galleries than she is.
Maybe
I'm more of a sassy pants or something.
Yeah, it seems to me, and we were just talking about this, that it seems to me that a lot of how galleries are still operating is under this model that they're basically the only game in town. And that basically the only other way you could see a painting if it's not in the gallery was in a magazine. So there's a lot of galleries who are still acting like that's the only way you can show your work. So yeah, they still feel like they have this amount of leverage that they don't necessarily have anymore. So
have you had to deal with galleries that might be upset that you're showing at 2 different places in the same city?
No, but I'm very new to it. So actually one of the upcoming shows is crossing over with another show, but luckily it's not in the same city. But I had no idea. I'm like, so what's the deal? Like, is this a bad thing? Like, I didn't want to make anyone mad either. Like, I totally understand why they wouldn't want you showing in the same city.
For sure.
But yeah.
I mean, that was a lesson I know my wife learned by getting chewed out a bit by a gallery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she was very frustrated about that.
But how are you supposed to really know? Like,
and that was her thing, was like, I didn't know.
Yeah, it should be written somewhere if you're going to have that rule.
Exactly. And she, at the same time, she was like, it totally makes sense now that I think about it, but I never thought about it before.
Yeah.
Because my job is to create art, not like think about the selling aspect. When you think about it, you go like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm kind of like chopping the feet from underneath you of being able to sell unless someone's unless your work's really selling or something. But yeah. I mean, that I understand. But yeah, it is that miscommunication or lack of communication. But I don't know.
Yeah, those is probably gallery not knowing that. I mean, how would they know? But it's just like not knowing how to educate people about that.
Yeah. I mean,
they just assume that everybody just. Yeah, it's one of those things, those unwritten rules, like you were saying.
Yeah. Does that apply to like LA, where the city is fucking like 12 cities?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, you probably don't want to show in 2 different galleries in Culver City.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't know.
Or you do.
Yeah. But yeah, then I don't know, if you have a show in Pasadena or something, I think that's not that.
Yeah, that would be interesting to hear about. But I think that mostly applies to the solo shows anyways.
Yeah.
So who's doing like 2 solo shows at once? Who's killing it that hard?
Yeah, that's
Where you're
true.
like, how hard are you working, man?
Yeah.
Maybe sleep a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. That one makes sense. And yeah, I guess the interesting thing about that chapter of that book that you read is that they are kind of trying to let you know that there is potentially some things you haven't thought about in the art world, even if you went to art school, that are kind of part of the business aspect that you might not realize.
Oh, yeah. Just about everything I learned about the business of selling art was not in art school. That's for sure.
Yeah, you learned from them streets.
So what else is in the article that might be worth bringing up?
That was really the only thing they gave an example of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was only just like 1 page.
Do you have anything you've like learned about that you were like, oh, that you thought was really helpful? As far as like business standards working with galleries? I know there's like a lot of galleries will do like they'll do like an agreed cut, or they'll not even be, they'll just assume you're okay with the cut.
Right. Yeah. There's sometimes you can negotiate better with the galleries.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll ask, how much are you willing to? I know some artists that are like, no discount ever.
Yeah. Usually, you can sometimes push to have the gallery, like say they need to like do a 10% discount to make a sale. A lot of times you can push to have the cut taken just out of their side. So.
But I know at least one artist in particular who's like, I don't want no one taking any discount. You know, like I don't want the discount to.
There's a dog, everybody.
Hey, Betty. But yeah, God, sorry, I have to focus.
Don't worry, I get cut on.
Most distracting house ever.
The discount. They're like, I don't want you taking a 10% cut. I don't want anyone taking
their price is their price.
Yeah, like and I think that's pretty legitimate, especially in our world.
Well, within the right, especially if you sign a contract that says like you can't change my price without you telling me.
It's also we work in an environment where decreasing the price of your paintings is looked so harshly upon. You know, it's like, oh, you were up here, now you're down 5%. Oof. Oh, like you're losing value, like you're losing hype. You're not on that.
Right.
It's the whole term of like never go down in price, so go up slowly. Yeah. Like that whole thing is like, so we're not allowed as artists to ever go down, but the gallery thinks it's okay for them to give our shit off at discount. Like, to me, that is kind of weird. It's a weird thing of like, how come there seems to be somewhat of a double standard of like, I have to follow these rules, but you get to devalue my work based on one sale you might make.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But me saying like, you know, like I'm not selling much, I need to survive, I should lower my prices, all of a sudden devalues me as an artist.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems a little wonky as a concept of logic in our art world.
Yeah, that's a good point. It did remind me of something that I just thought of. Like a tip was like, especially when you're dealing with an online store that's selling your work, get something in writing, like a contract of some sort, so that they can't like sell behind your back, basically. Like, so if they do sell something and you never get paid from it, they owe you because it's there in writing.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know how much.
Has a company done that to you?
They've tried to, yeah.
Oh.
Like one of those like print on demand kind of places.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's always weird when you hear someone doing something a little scummy in the art world. I don't know if you heard the Scott Pryor episode, but he brought that up about a gallery in Denver he just happened to be in Denver, so he stopped in, but they upped his prices from what he had them at.
Oh.
And they didn't tell him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, you're going to have to give me half of that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't know if it was completely malicious on their side, because it sounded like he was talking about like, this is my wholesale price. And so they had the freedom to up their price as much as they wanted to. But I think there was something that like got lost in communication there, maybe. Or I don't know. I could be wrong.
Wholesale kind of makes it a little more confusing, I think.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, like I've heard of galleries just blatantly doing stuff like that.
But yeah, dude, like how long have you been showing with galleries for?
Like a
Like
year.
A year. Yeah.
I'm very, very new.
For sure. I mean, you just said you got back into painting 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I've had a lot of really good luck this year, so I'm in a couple of different galleries this year.
Nice.
You've mainly done group shows, right? Have you ever done a solo show? Or other than, you just
the one that I did,
right now, yeah.
But I haven't done any, but I have a couple, I don't know if I can say exactly what it is yet.
Okay.
But I have a couple coming up that are pretty big.
Nice.
No idea how I'm going to frame for all these things, but
yeah.
So diving into kind of this, like this new gallery adventure, how do you kind of curate or like build the relationships between these galleries? Do you reach out to them through like email or?
They've reached out to me actually.
Oh, look out.
Well, one of them was Studio Gallery that I've worked with a lot, doing a lot of their group shows, and we've just built a really good relationship, and they're super nice and helpful.
Nice, yeah, that's cool.
They reached out to you first, or did you
for this
apply to one of their group show things?
Well, I've applied to all the group shows myself, and then once I got into a couple, then we just became friends, and
nice.
I pretty much try to get into all the group shows if I can.
Yeah.
And then they reached out to me for the smaller group show.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's a good way to develop a relationship with a gallery for sure. Just get your foot in the door some way and then just stay with them, especially if you like what they do and they're pulling up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, I'm so new to it all. I don't really know. And everything that I've gotten so far has been built off relationships that I've made through either like plein air events or, the associations that I'm in and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's cool.
So the show you're doing in Oakland, how was that all you're doing? Did you set that up, or is that through a gallery there?
So it's a artist studio. So they have 11 different artists in the studio, and they have a gallery space. And my friend Cleo, that Cleo Villette,
sure.
She reached out to me and asked if I wanted to show in the space. So I hustled really hard and tried to get all the marketing stuff on my end and try to get more new people into the studios, checking out their work and my work. So it's kind of a mutual thing going on.
That's cool.
That's cool, yeah. But yeah, speaking of your marketing, I feel like you picked that up pretty quickly as far as like you have a good email list and you put out a lot of content in your emails too.
Yeah.
Is that just something that you basically had to, when you quit the game industry, you're just like, I got to learn how to do all this, so I got to figure it out? Yeah,
I had to learn all that. I read a lot of books and listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
So I've listened to like all of yours and like all the art podcasts
We had
out
no
there.
tips.
Yeah.
We had none. Sorry about that. Did you catch the clear gesso tip I gave out once?
But yeah, I've just done a lot of research, and I also try to think a lot of what I want, to see and what I would enjoy.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think, that's probably the best way to approach that part of it.
Yeah, I'm very anti-read, but that seems like that would probably work.
You got to keep things short, a lot of pictures.
Yeah. Do they got any like children books about getting into galleries?
Yeah, exactly.
Or developing an art career?
Yeah.
I will not paint on a hat. I will not paint on a mat. Okay.
Beautiful.
Writing notes, not on a mat. Okay.
I think you have something there.
Yeah.
I think so. And I'm going to copyright that now so no one's steals that.
There needs to be something out there though, because it's all been such a new experience to me, and like even pricing your artwork is just, and it's not like a firm rule. Like everyone does it a little differently, but we each feel so strongly about how it should be done, and
for sure,
it's complicated.
Yeah. I know so much of it seems like it's off of feel. Like how I feel about how I should be treated in this world, how I feel it in this art world, how I feel like, all these, I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know. It's also kind of like the world changes so fast nowadays that a set rule might not apply 5 months from now in a weird way. I mean, it might, but...
But then the traditional fine art is just so old school.
Yeah.
And you want to keep one foot in each, thing, but it's just they're getting so far apart, and it's hard to kind of cater to both worlds.
Yeah. And I can't do the splits, so
you'll get there.
Side splits or
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll get there.
But that's something I struggle with all the time too, because I have most of where I've been with my fine art career has been trying to go that traditional route of like, just got to find, it first went from like, got to find that one gallery that I just got to give them my work to sell. And then it went to like, well, actually I got to find a few different galleries that will hopefully sell.
Why is that?
Because one wasn't cutting it.
Oh. Yeah. Did you ever check at the end of a rainbow?
Yeah. I did not. How do you find it?
Try it. Try it out. I don't know.
Try it out. And then from there, it's like, well, not even that's working anymore. So then I just had to start diversifying as much as I can. And now I'm just trying to pull it back a little bit more to like, well, what do I actually really want to paint and put out there?
There you go. That's the spirit. That's the right
rather than just trying to chase where I think it's gonna sell.
Yeah. What do I enjoy doing?
Exactly. But even I don't know, I get stuck with all the pricing and how much everything costs. Like there's so much money you have to pour into the business to get just, a little bit back. Yeah. And then people are like, oh, $800 for your painting? That's crazy. And it's like, I'm really not getting that much back in the end. So
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah. That's tough. I think also just like I think that also has to do with like people not understanding how difficult the craft is. There's that like, I don't know, we always talk about this, just like the fact that people don't understand how much work goes into it, where you can look at a chair and respect that chair cost $1,000, $1,200. You're like, yeah, it's a chair. It's a handmade chair.
Yeah.
Of course it does. But then, handmade painting is like, what is that?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're crazy.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, even the supplies, like you just said, people don't even understand how much a tube of paint costs usually.
Have you ever, I've tried to figure out how much it would cost to like live, like how much I would need to be able to pay my bills, and then break that down to be like how many paintings I make per year and roughly how much each painting would cost, and think of it that way. I don't know if you ever...
I haven't done that.
It's very sad for me because I don't make enough work. So I'm like, like $20,000 painting.
Yeah, I've definitely done stuff like that before, and I just can't even. I either have to just be painting all the time, which I don't even really get to do, just because I'm just
marketing.
I'm Instagramming and tweeting and pinning.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you even keep up with like the amount of output that you need to keep it up? It's like you got to raise your prices, but then you got to figure out how you're going to sell these now more expensive paintings.
Yeah,
So.
my husband's a product manager,
Nice.
so he's very numbersy, and he probably thinks about like how many paintings I have to sell. Actually, he did do the math, and he's like, "You need to sell 10 paintings a month." I'm like, 10 paintings? Like, I can barely sell one a month. Like, how am I going to sell 10?
Yeah, that's the other issue.
Is that why you're doing so much merch and things like that these days?
It's kind of just something I'm playing around with.
Oh, okay.
But it does help like a lot.
I figure it would, yeah.
Do you enjoy like
I do
that aspect of it?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you have fun doing it.
I didn't know you had merch.
Yeah, I have all the things you probably hate.
Yeah.
my wife's ears perked up. Yeah, I actually like stickers. That's probably the one part of merch. That's my graffiti background, being like, I like sticking stuff to things.
Yeah, so I paint my chickens and ducks all the time, and it's probably one of my most known things on Instagram. And I made stickers of all the chickens, and then I made like food stickers because I paint a lot of fruit and veggies and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I make pins. I make chicken butt pins.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Oh, I did see that one.
Yeah. They're fun. It's just, those ones are really just for my own fun, but they sell pretty well.
Nice. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, my wife's definitely gearing towards that way. And I'm like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
You like it. I don't.
Yeah. And the thing about like the Instagram followers, even having so many, they want to help. They just can't spend $100 on a painting or $1,000, and it's like, so they will buy these little things and feel like they're contributing, which they are. And I'm super appreciative.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good move. I think I might do stickers. I've been working on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But other than that, I don't know if I'm going to do anything else. Don't judge me if I do. I need monies.
You do a mellow butt pin.
That would have nothing to do with my work.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's what you love my art? We'll buy this butt pin of my dog.
Actually, you should do
I feel like you
sticker of like mellow as a butterfly would probably do well.
I like the caterpillar one better.
Yeah, or whatever. You run with the idea. You're the artist.
We're all the artists. I mean, the human race. When I say all, we're all, not just us in the room.
The art of living.
Yeah, that also ruined why people are men, in my opinion.
What's that?
Everything is art.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I guess my paintings are worth nothing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for making that a saying and a belief.
Yeah. Real Talk probably did.
Yeah. Yeah, real talk. Do you say real talk now?
What?
No, I don't have a Real Talk button. Okay. I thought I had something to go with that.
So you're just working on group shows now?
No, I have a couple of solo things that I'm working on, and then the smaller group show. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I have a plein air event in Michigan that I'm going to. That's the only one I have planned so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty busy year so far.
That's cool.
Sonoma plein air deadline is coming up soon.
I know.
Are you going to play to that?
I think so. Are you?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to ask if I am?
Are you? You should just do one.
I feel like I don't know, maybe.
You want to borrow an easel?
You can start at the fair.
I'll bring my big-ass
easel.
Yeah, I'll go to the fair. I used to do the Marin County Fair because it's like, oh, easy $150 from getting first place.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, that was actually my first award, I think, was the State Fair, California State Fair.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Painted some cows.
Nice.
There you go.
It was really hot. It was like 105 degrees, and we were sitting inside the cow barn. It was so awful.
I would paint on paper with corn dog.
There you go.
Yeah.
Paint like your brush is like corn dog.
The grease.
Ew.
I thought you meant like use the ketchup and
Literal oil painting.
can make some yellow mustard and get some red ketchup.
Ruin the art fair. It's like, it's all, you just don't get it, man.
Yeah. Conceptual plein air.
It's talking about the fair and humans.
Consumerism.
Man. Yeah.
But speaking of plein air events, you usually don't go for like the typically beautiful scenery.
No, I try to stay away from that, honestly. I like to do like totally different things, and
like you're gonna
dumpsters.
do the Tenderloin Plein Air Festival this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, there should be like at least a downtown one, urban.
I think
kind
Studio
of thing.
Gallery actually did do a plein air event a
you told
while
me
ago.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea.
Good idea. Because San Francisco, you would think like there's plenty to paint there.
Yeah. And everyone always paints like cliff sides and
Alcatraz, the bridge,
Alcatraz,
obviously.
I just want to see something a little different.
Yeah, Tenderloin, can you plein air it? Sergio?
I need the. Can I plein air? I think I can.
Okay. That's been a segment of Can You Plein Air It? I don't know. We ever talked about that on the show.
I don't think we ever have, actually.
It's like this silly game me and Sergio play where I will like point at like a little patch of weeds coming out of concrete. And I go, can you plein air it? And Sergio just always says like, yeah, I think I can do that.
You should make it a show
I know.
and then have you painting it.
We literally just talked about it on the ride here. We're like, we should have a little soundbite for that. But yeah, that's cool. It's cool.
So that just came out of just wanting to do something different with your subject matter?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's boring just seeing the same thing all the time. I want to do something a little different. So I like to get different perspectives. Like I'll sit on the ground or paint through things or looking. Like I painted for Capitola. I stood outside and looked through a building and you could see out through their window.
Oh,
So I tried to get a little bit of depth going through and you saw the tables
cool.
and chairs and everything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I could totally see that. That would be my issue with plein airs for competitions for sure. Would be like, I get it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of what I get frustrated about plein air these days. Like you're just so, you got to figure out like, well, what do I want to paint, but will it sell? And like, what's interesting though, I did Telluride plein air. I did that a few years ago. So Telluride's like this cute little quaint Colorado town that's surrounded by these beautiful mountains everywhere. But the stuff that actually sells there are little genre scenes, like paint somebody's bike or a cool little alleyway or something. Because once you get used to seeing the mountains all the time, then I think people just get kind of jaded. It's like, well, I could look at the real mountain right there. Why do I need your painting of it?
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, being from Santa Rosa, I was like, I want to paint these mountains because I never see them.
Right.
So, but yeah, it does become like, what are people actually connecting with, like in your or in your paintings? It's usually just the stuff they run into every day.
Yeah. I try to pick stuff, like, I try not to think of what would sell, which might actually, be a bad thing for me. But I kind of just paint, like, what would I like to paint and what hits me? And it's usually the way the light hits an object that strikes me.
Right, exactly.
I was literally going to ask you, do you ever think about that? Because that whole, like, do you think about what the viewer likes?
But, if I hear that, like, a certain building in a town sells well, I'll consider it. Like, I'll go there and try to find a
different angle.
a unique perspective or see what hits it, like, to me about the scene. And, hit two birds with one stone.
What happens if you go to, like, a plein air event and then you bring, like, apples and stuff and you set up your own still life on a...
I've heard of people doing it when it's a rainy day.
Before,
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
question answered.
Yeah, I was thinking that if you did like I don't know. This is a stupid idea. I don't want to say it out loud, so I'll keep it to myself.
I just remembered something that I heard about Carmel, the plein air event they do in Carmel.
Oh, I was thinking the candy.
Caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah. How do they say it in Michigan? Do they say
caramel?
Caramel?
Yeah.
Caramel.
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 But I heard that you're not allowed to paint the lone cypress for the plein air event because, like, somebody owns like the rights to the paintings of it.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Oh, really?
I thought. You ever watch Wayne's World?
I have, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the movie where he like goes and tries to play this guitar, and he starts playing Stairway, and the guy's like, "Hey man," and he plays the song, exactly. Stairway.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what I thought. It was
That's hilarious.
the Lone Cypress, like, "Hey man," and there's like a sign, it's like, "No Lone Cypress paintings," just so overdone, or something like that.
Yeah. I just think it's so weird that somebody has like ownership over an image of a natural thing.
So what you're thinking is we should cut it down.
That's crazy. How is that
I don't know.
possible?
Yeah, that seems like a dumb thing.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the competition, can you paint it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Back to the art ethic thing. Or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those art etiquette things I just remember. Like,
Yeah.
that makes no sense to me.
No sense. God. Well,
So, yeah.
I feel
Another
like all
reason
our
that Josh
blood
should
is
do
just
plein air.
boiling in our salad.
So you're going to do plein air this year, Josh? So you can deal with shit like that?
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find an image of the Lone Cypress, and I'm gonna go to a plein air event and hold it like this and hold like an image of it right in front of me and paint it with my hand in the image, and then so I'm painting a picture
Okay, I get what you're
of
saying. Yeah.
the
Like
Lone
an MC Escher thing. Almost,
Yeah, exactly.
And there's somebody in the cypress tree painting you back.
Yeah, exactly. And that person is me, but from the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. First place, here I come. Look out, losers. The trash talk starts now.
You're already thinking of how to spend your artist choice money.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a fighter. I start the trash talk before to get in your heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's not my world. I'm probably never going to dip my toe into it. But I appreciate the attempt.
Yeah, there's some amazing plein air painters out there. People that you look and like, how did you paint that in like 3 days in the desert heat? Like,
Have they ever thought of doing like almost like a extreme golf, but like plein air version? You have
What
to
do you
mean? I don't know. You have to do something.
like somebody's like throwing water at your face.
Like you have
while
to paint it and throw it and frisbee it into a trash can. I got nothing. I haven't figured out the rules yet, Sergio. I'm just winging it here.
Okay.
Is there extreme plein air or not? But maybe you're not in those circles.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen like in the plein air magazine has like their weekly sort of newsletter that they send out like on email. Sometimes they'll be like, this guy painted like while he was scuba diving or something like that.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, while he's scuba diving.
It's
He like comes up with he's like, I was watercoloring. He comes up with a blanket. And he's like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Or like people painting in like blizzards. It's like, come on, like your painting's not going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did it for the gram, just for the photo.
Yeah, I
opportunity.
saw someone biking and painting.
What?
Like some
How's
video, him biking and then painting. And I'm like,
That's ridiculous.
it's just going to look like shit anyway. Like, I don't know.
Like,
I don't really understand
It's hard.
that.
It's hard enough to paint plein air when you're not moving.
Skydiving.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
yeah. That's got to be the
gimmicky.
next one, huh?
Probably.
Paint, yeah.
I love it. That's the only way I plein air, bro. You're like,
Just
what happened
talk
to your
about it, be
arm?
about it.
A shark bit it. How? I was plein airing.
Can you plein air? A shark? I could do it.
I could do that. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I don't know. Sorry about this.
It's all good.
When you listen to our podcast and we go off on these ridiculous conversations, is it frustrating at all?
No, I like it actually. Like, because when I'm painting, I'm usually listening to you guys.
Okay.
And I like that your podcast is actually 2 hours long because I can, not switch it to the next one.
Right. I know that's how I.
And it's just kind of chill. Like, I don't know.
Okay. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, I don't know how many people hate us.
Well, yeah. So far, we haven't racked up too many 1-star reviews.
I know.
Do you get a lot of feedback and stuff?
Not a ton. When we try hard to solicit for it, sometimes we will. But
like on our reviews, you mean?
Is that what you mean, Instagram? Or just like
I don't know, just messages
just
or
in general?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, we get DMs and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good amount, I think, compared to like the rate and review. That's like pulling teeth. It seems like.
Yeah.
Hey guys, go rate and review. Okay, back to the show.
Exactly.
I haven't done it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a pain in the ass. I haven't done it for a lot of podcasts that I listen to either.
And I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Like you see the little 5-star thing, but then anything after that is like just work. So
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, like you have to actually.
Like it goes to another app or something, and then I just like close it.
Oh.
Or I don't know. Obviously, like I haven't done it.
yeah, of course.
Or maybe it's changed by now, but I don't
like
know.
on Apple, like iTunes? Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe.
It's
been a while.
Don't question me on
Let's
this.
move on.
Right.
Not on Apple. Wait, what do you know? Apple? No, not on Apple then. It's on whatever you don't know.
I was trying to figure out where that came from because I don't know. Whatever.
But yeah. We got a 2-star review recently and they didn't understand our show.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't talk enough about serious stuff. You're like, I don't even remember what the
Is
review
that
was.
what it was?
It was something like.
I thought it's because we mumble and
I thought it was we weren't focused.
Oh, it was yeah, there was that.
We weren't focused. It's like, okay, well, that's literally our show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's us just wandering around
Exactly.
in the dark with our hands out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is.
You just got hit with a classic waiting to try tangent.
It's going to be used a lot, I'm sure.
In our life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's other than shows, is there anything else you're really focused on art-wise? And Instagrams and merch, I should say. Just I'm trying to eliminate everything you have.
No, that's about it.
And your animals in your house. And
keeping the
lemon
animals
trees.
alive is tough, and I don't know. It's been really busy, especially with the solo show and everything. Was just so much work.
Yeah. Is that your first solo show?
Yeah, it was.
Your comics are pretty much just something you do when
Yeah,
you
it's
have
just for fun. I
inspiration.
haven't done them in forever, which I'm kind of sad about, but I've been racking up the ideas.
That's cool.
They're fun.
How did the lead up to the solo show go? Was it pretty stress-filled by the end?
It happened really quick because I knew like in a month's advance that I was going to do it. But I'm sitting on a ton of work too, so I had enough to...
You agreed to the show a month in advance? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of... rushed, and I made a book and everything, and I tried doing all the marketing and newsletters and everything.
I know.
That is ridiculous.
It was intense.
That's
And
impressive.
I had a
Yeah,
vacation
it really is.
in it too, a 2-week
right,
vacation
yeah.
in Florida. And I was
So
like,
you had a month advance and you took 2 weeks off? And you made a book?
yeah.
Stop showing off.
Yeah, it's basically like a factory here. My husband was putting price tags and everything and folding cards. It was nuts.
Wow.
I don't recommend it.
I had to do like one painting for a group show. And I'm like, oh, why'd I wait till the last minute? And then, I'll like promote it on my Instagram like an hour before I go to the show. Like, oh yeah, I have to do that. Probably. I should.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's stressful and a lot of work. So that's all I've been doing, really.
That's impressive, though. Wow. You're really making me feel bad. Making me feel lazy.
Is it a thing now though? But you're like, oh, I'm never doing it that way again, or just like, oh.
No, it went pretty well actually.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay,
Damn.
good.
Yeah.
You about to have 12 solo shows in a year.
Yeah.
First ever.
It was just intense,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was good, and I learned a lot from it. You know, like how to actually sell a painting and
Oh, that's good.
put a red dot on the thing,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'm so new to it.
For sure. Wait, you actually put the red dot on?
Yeah, at this show,
At the
because it was
opening.
basically like me running the whole thing,
Oh.
because it wasn't.
So you had a month advance. You were also the gallery person.
Yeah, I
doing
mean, I
the
did
sales.
the reception. I brought all the food, and yeah,
How dare you?
it was,
This is offensive. This is absolutely offensive. I'm like, I need like 2 years in advance for the galleries to do all the extra work other than painting. And you're like, I just did it all, and I don't know, I published a book or whatever. And, yeah, we adopted an orphan, and what else did we do? Yeah, saved the world from space invaders. Just like a normal weekend. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. It was very intense.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to unwind a little bit from that, and then move on to the next things. I'm going down to Pasadena for the gold medal exhibition.
For the California Art Club.
Yeah,
Nice.
and that's coming up. What? In a week or so.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah.
have no idea.
I think next weekend or something.
Huh.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How long is that show up for? Do you know?
I should know,
Month or
but
two?
I don't know
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
I have all these dates in my head, and I hate to say it right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you'll give yourself a week and then probably get back to saving the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Try and make it not catch on fire.
Yeah. Like, did your planet explode and your family quickly shipped you and put you on a spaceship and shot you?
That's when I was
That's what you
adopted
meant,
in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were adopted. Holy shit.
It's all making sense now.
Making sense. Korea or Krypton.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Korea time.
Okay, we're figuring out all the details. That's hilarious. God.
And then I'm doing a workshop too for urban
Oh, that's
sketchers.
right.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Nice.
Really scared.
This will be your first workshop.
Yeah, it'll be the first workshop, and I don't know. I'm an introvert, and I'm not very good at speaking or anything, which is why I was really nervous for this interview.
You've been doing great.
I don't know. It's very stressful, but I think you got to push yourself and get out of your comfort zone. And it could be awful. It could be a complete disaster, but I'm gonna try my best.
Do you like the sharing knowledge portion of it though?
I do, but I'm trying to figure out, because I want to teach a workshop, but I don't want to teach people to paint like me. Like, I
Right.
want them to have their own style and just like learn how to, maybe for this one it's plein air, so how to capture the light and work
Right.
quickly and effectively, but still have their own flair to it and
Right.
figure out
Yeah.
what gets them. So that's kind of what I want, but it's hard to balance that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you need a bit of like, I guess the marketing part of it just to get people in. So like teach you a little bit, I guess, of how to paint like me, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be about that. But I think people, for the most part, understand that just by watching you paint, they'll be able to be like, okay, I see how she holds her brush or whatever.
Yeah.
The type of color mixture she makes. So
Right.
because that's what I like about watching people paint too at this point. It's not even so much that I'm trying to learn the basics anymore. It's more like, oh, how does that person get that texture or something like that?
Is it tough to hold a brush when you have superhuman strength?
It's just splintering all the time.
He's got another one. You have to fly to the art store.
Currently looking for brush sponsorship.
Yeah. I've never dipped my toe into teaching, so I have no advice. Other than you're supposed to picture everyone naked.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's kind of, it's a little scary for me.
For sure.
Would you ever teach?
No.
No?
First of all, I hate public speaking.
Yeah?
And
but you have a podcast.
Yeah, there's no public here. I don't mind private conversations at all.
Okay.
Public, like being on a stage kind of feel to me is like...
Even though this is going out to like thousands of people.
That part I don't mind. Nah. But the part of me standing in front of people and having their eyes on me freaks me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I get freaked out about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But you're a was it true introvert?
True religion introvert.
Yeah. But what was it? Yeah. And I hate teaching.
Just in general, like
I hate people and
yeah, so I don't know. It doesn't seem enjoyable to me. So I probably won't do it.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. I kind of wondered too, because you learned a lot yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you just want people to learn it themselves too and like figure it out.
Also, like, I feel like I would be doing like a disservice if I was teaching someone and not knowing the technical name for things. This is kind of what I do. I have no idea what that's called.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right.
I worry about that too, because I don't know like all the, inner workings or, the specific palettes and everything. I just pretty much know complementary colors. I don't know the triads or anything like that. Uh-huh. And like the golden ratio and stuff, I don't do any of that. I just kind of like, does it look good? Like,
Yeah.
I love composition, but I'm not very good at explaining what works.
But I think teaching will probably get you better at doing that just by being forced to say something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I might say something dumb. I don't know.
Don't worry. I do it all the time. It's not that bad. You get over it after a while.
You've done a lot of teaching though, right?
No, I haven't actually.
You've done a workshop though.
I've done workshops here and there, but yeah, I've done 2 or 3. I've only really done one, like, 2-day workshop, like weekend workshop, and I don't even know if that completely counts because it was mostly me helping my friend Za out in Portland. I've done one day workshop, and I've done a handful of demos, which is, those are actually, I kind of like doing demos because then you don't really have to go somebody and try and help them fix their own painting.
Yeah.
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 And Sergio has like a ridiculous wealth of knowledge when it comes to like the technical aspect of things. He's like the Googles of my art life.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So yeah, if anyone has any questions about art stuff, just bombard his DMs with them.
And I'll be like,
go Google that shit. Don't everybody believe in Google?
But yeah, I mean, you reach out to him for like kind of advice or anything?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good resource for that for sure. Yeah, I'm always like, what do you think about this? Or I don't know. He just has so much knowledge about that stuff. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's read a book or something, I guess.
Probably should, actually.
I feel like I relate to you too because I don't know like artist names and I'm just clueless with art history.
Yeah.
I know like a couple.
Sergio.
Is it going to be a problem when we get to our top 5?
I think it might be. Yeah, I'm terrible with that kind of stuff. And like I'm interested. I like seeing people's art, but I rarely go back and like look at all their art and like try to figure it out.
Or even if I have their art in my head of like, oh, I like this artwork, I still don't learn their name. I don't take the time for it.
Right. Yeah.
It's even harder with Instagram now because it's like some weird name like Main Loop, And it's like, who's that?
Yeah, why does mom call him that? Yeah. It's bad. And even people I try to learn, like, I'm like, this is their name. Remember it. I've been trying since this podcast, and I still, 5 minutes later, I'm like, what was that person's name? I don't remember.
Well, the first few weeks, I was Sergio Garcia, too.
Yeah. Well, I knew your first name for sure, so you're welcome.
I appreciate the effort.
But yeah.
Names are hard. Like, I even wonder, because I use my middle name for all my work. I use Heatherine Art as everything, but I'm like, nobody knows how to pronounce it. Nobody knows how to spell it. Everyone thinks it's an L and not an I. I'm like, what did I do to myself, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I hate names. Yeah. Thank you for being on my side. I appreciate this. And people that do know names are rude. This over here just learning names, and I got all these names in my head right now. What's your problem, Sergio?
Just at a party, don't ask me to remember your name. That's where I'm bad.
Yeah, at a party, I'm really good at remembering faces. At a party, that's where I fail miserably. I feel bad.
Just names at a party or faces?
Faces at a party. Yeah. It's all a blur. It's all a drunken blur. And I see people after, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, yeah. I don't remember you.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem.
Should we go towards top 5?
Yeah. Wow.
Now that we talked about names.
Yeah, exactly. We're at that point. I got my.
Wait, we got something.
It's time for Sergio's Question Corner.
So yeah, who are your top 5? Well, you can do living or dead.
Why?
Why do I get the exception?
Because you didn't know any of the names. If you can't come up with the living, then I'll let you do some dead ones.
So I was trying to think about this, and I'm really most inspired by people that I know.
That's
and
cool.
It's it might be like who nobody's heard of, but it's like I'm really inspired by the way that they work, their creativity, and just their personality. Like, has a big impact on me.
Right
so my top is who I mention all the time, and he was kind of my mentor, was Chris Greco.
Oh yeah, you showed me his work.
He just has so much.
Chris Greco from the show Cheaters. Is that I just remember his last name was Greco.
I don't remember the first name though, but yeah.
But we worked together at a mobile game studio, and he's the one that got me into gouache and painting outside and everything. Nice. And he's just, a wealth of information. He knows so many names and was showing me all these artists.
A name knower, huh?
He is. He's the best at knowing names. But
wow, Sergio got some competition.
So he's pre-Sergio.
That's
yeah.
But he's just been really great and just, teaching me a lot. And I have a deeper meaning in my artwork because of him. He's teaching me about story, and even because I used to not really think I had a lot of meaning in my artwork, but he kind of started digging deeper and analyzing it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's true. This is what's going on in my head. Because for a while I would be like, I just like painting people waiting for things, or waiting at a bus stop, and he's like, but that's you. That's you waiting.
Yeah, it was interesting when you were talking about the plein air thing and how you like looking through things. I was like, oh, it's interesting that you're thinking that way.
Yeah.
Just in general, it's a great way of thinking.
There's more depth than I thought, I guess. But now I'm a little more conscious about it and starting to think about it more when I'm painting, and my work is getting a little more meaningful and personal, I think.
That's great.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's a good influence.
He, art-wise too, he's amazing. He's always experimenting. He works in all mediums and can tell me about working extra large, or
Has he ever painted in corn dog?
I don't know about that one. That might be a new thing. I think you should do it.
The first, what they say, if you're the first to do it, then it's special or something. So that's cool.
But yeah, he's really great. And I've been talking a little bit to an artist in San Francisco, Gary Bukovnik. I might be torturing his, or not saying his last name right, but he does a lot of flowers and these really large, beautiful flower pieces. And it was something I went to his studio and I saw him working on them, and they're just full sheets, or even wall length flowers, and they're gorgeous. Wow. And it's something that I never really thought would appeal to me. They're very designy too, but after seeing them in person, they really struck me, the flow and the movement. And
is it like Giorgio Keefe-ish?
I wouldn't.
Or different?
It's different, I would say. Yeah, it's more graphic. So he's done a lot of work for the San Francisco Symphony.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
But you've probably seen his work. But he's in person, he's also the most generous and caring person I've ever met. And, it made an impact on me. It made me want to be more generous and loving, in general, which... I don't know. I'm really affected by people's personalities.
Well, I'm sorry then for being, I'm influencing you probably in the worst way.
But just watching him work, I just saw a demo and it was very therapeutic the way he worked, and he was just so humble. He's like, "Oh, all of you are probably better artists than me," and it was just filling in colors like it was nothing, but it's really amazing what he does. But
awesome.
That's cool.
And who else? I really I'm sure a lot of people say this, but I don't know how to say his name. Nicholas.
Oh, Nicholas Uribe.
Uribe, yeah. I love his work. I don't know him as a person. I've watched some of his live videos, and he seems super nice.
Yeah,
but I love his work. And
he's awesome.
He shows up on a lot of our top 5.
Yeah, he's clearly been very influential. You see so many people doing the same kind of stuff now, but I love his work.
Nice.
That's 3. I don't know. If we're going into the dead people, who I'm going to say what everyone else says is John Cena Sargent, but I would say he's probably my most influential artist, just because of I love how he simplifies things, and he makes it look so easy, and that's kind of what I want to be able to do. It's so I don't know. I love his brushwork and everything.
Yeah. And we were talking a little bit about that earlier on the drive here. We were talking about the ease.
Because I went and saw the Linedecker show at the Hagen Museum.
Yeah.
And so, we were just looking at it there's just some people who have such a good visual shorthand for things.
Yeah. Where the ease, and I compared it to a Nina Simone singing or something like that. If you ever watch her sing, it looks effortless. It almost looks like she's not trying at all. But there's some depth and emotion to it in a weird way where you're just so good at this that it's effortless.
Yeah.
And it makes you just in awe of the skill. And but Sargent's definitely one of those guys like that.
Yeah, and he painted everything, Yeah. He didn't really have limits, and I really find that
Did he paint
inspiring.
chicken butts ever? Or?
I'm sure he has.
Probably did.
Yeah. How can you resist?
Don't ever look at them, or it'll stop you from. I can't paint another chicken butt now. Look at that. How do I compete with that chicken butt?
I have one more person. I'm terrible. But there's another artist that I really like. Her name is, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Haiti Jo Summers.
Oh, I
really like her work. It's very
Haiti
loose.
Jo Summers, yeah.
Oh, Haley Joel Osment.
She's probably heard that. Yeah.
Probably. Sorry. Apologies for that bad joke.
But we have very similar tastes in subject matter. She does a lot of interiors, and she does a lot of plein air work too. But it's all very loose and a lot about light and just emotion and very expressive brushwork.
Nice.
But I like that too.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, I have a question. Is there anyone you hate?
Oh, God.
Living or dead? No pressure.
No, I don't think there is, actually. I was trying to think about this. It's kind of the same. It's the same as the people that I like. It's the artists that I like are through personality. The people that I hate are just people that I know, and I'm not going to name them. But
we see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not you don't even hate Pollock.
I really don't hate anyone.
I'm just kidding.
It's so hard for me to hate people. Like I even had people, just try to ruin my life, and I still don't hate them. I get over things pretty easy.
Good.
That's probably a better way to live.
Yeah. People that I hate are dead to me. And if I ever see you on the street, cross the street, or I was trying to say why I oughta, but I didn't know how to say it. Or I will, or I'll oughta. That didn't work out well. All right. Again, last question.
What would you do with David Choman?
I don't know. I think I would probably try to start a gallery and maybe get all of my friends and people that I want to show art out there,
Nice.
That would be fun.
Would you have like a specific location in the world that you would want to have this gallery?
I love it here. I really can't complain. I've traveled a little bit, when I was younger, but San Francisco is this Bay Area is just really nice.
Yeah.
So it's really
pretty
good.
Cool. Nice.
Could have the one San Francisco gallery that hopefully never goes away.
Yeah.
So you can start.
But I'd want to make it like different, not just a gallery. I'd want to make it a cool place to hang out or like
for sure.
Coffee shop or something.
Right.
Not like art in a coffee shop, but like just a place where people would want to go. Make it a little bit different.
It's like an installation piece. Like you have a coffee shop in a gallery.
Right.
Not a gallery in a coffee shop. Mind blowing.
Remember
Next level stuff. I like it.
I was thinking of, I don't know, I saw a commercial for this bank. I don't know which bank it was. It was one of the big ones, like Bank of America or something. They're like trying to rebrand. We're like, this is the cool bank that you can hang out and have a coffee in. It just seems so weird to me. Like, who would just hang out at a bank like that?
But I've hung out at galleries before.
But the thing with galleries for me is like I'm really intimidated by them. It's usually a big empty space with like one person just staring at you.
One art student who's there as an intern.
Right,
and
exactly.
on their computer just looking at Facebook or something or YouTube's.
Yeah, maybe it'd be a spot for introverts. Like walls where you don't really have to look anyone in the eye. And,
art gallery / cat cafe.
Yeah.
You can call it like true introvert.
A little PayPal checkout system.
Yeah, exactly.
The paintings just get delivered through a tube or something.
Right.
Yeah, everyone has to wear shirts with like mazes on them or something, so you can just like, as an introvert, you just focus on that spot.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious.
I can't make eye contact. Awesome. Have we done good on time?
Oh yeah, we're way over 2 hours at this point.
Wow.
We can cut out anything I said that's stupid.
Yeah, cut out the dog barking.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Really appreciate it.
It was fun.
It was. This has been Waiting Dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.